Okay, this is an online lesson for how to write a Module G essay. The essay is worth 40 points out of 100. The other 60 points is the unseen. This is for the 5-point Bagrut exam, and this is a lesson intended for students from Karamim. It is for, again, for 5-point students, and it's intended for students who were absent from class or just need a review of what we learned in class. So let's get started. Okay, so it's important to understand how you are going to be graded. This is the rubric, and we're going to go through each component. There's 4 components to how you're marked, and we're going to start with content. So content is worth 8 points, and basically if you answer the question they ask fully on topic, you develop your topic by having a topic sentence for your body paragraphs, explaining, giving examples. You stay on topic, your information is relevant, your writing is understandable and organized, you're going to get the full 8 points. There are certain ways you can lose points, but if you develop your ideas and your writing is clear, you should be fine. If you'll lose a couple of points if the essay is maybe written in the wrong tense. You were supposed to write about something in the future, you wrote about it in the past, but it's not the main essence of it. If your opinion is not clearly stated, it's an opinion essay, so you have to state your opinion, stick with that opinion, don't contradict yourself. This is not the time to give the back and forth, for and against. This is a straightforward opinion essay. You can lose almost all of your points or all of your points if there's a misunderstanding of the topic. Okay, so you, instead of talking about something about pastimes, you talk about pastimes. So maybe you won't lose all the points for the essay, but you'll lose just the content points. Sometimes the essay is just, the language in the essay or the grammar is so poor that it just makes the content really, really disorganized or so hard to understand that it's almost illegible. And then maybe you'll get some points for the essay, but not all of the points for the essay content. But generally speaking, most students get a lot of points for the essay because you guys know how to write and you're able to put your thoughts out in words. You get 0 points, obviously, when you write on a topic that is not related to the question asked at all. You're not allowed to just pick a topic and write on it when your essay can't be read, or when you plagiarize. There's no plagiarism. You can't bring in a pre-written essay. You can't use AI, and that's just unacceptable. You don't want to, you want to keep your writing organized. You don't want to repeat ideas. You can lose some points for that. You need to have an introduction and a conclusion. We're going to talk about that later on, and you just want to keep organized. So that's content. We'll get more into what is in the content later on in this video. Vocabulary. Okay, so a vocabulary is worth 10 points. And looking at the rubric, what do you get points for? You get points for using correct and varied vocabulary. Your 5-pointers, you're expected to know how to use a high level, have a high level and a lot of rich vocabulary. So basically, let's look back here. If you look at the rubric, you get 6 points for correct use of basic vocabulary and partially appropriate use of instances of chunks and phrases. So you get 7 points if all of your vocabulary is correct. You get more points for using a lot of connectors and for using Band 3 vocabulary for Module E, and using varied high-level vocabulary. So the more high-level vocabulary, varied vocabulary you use, the more points you can earn, getting you up to 10 points. Of course, you do not want to be sarcastic. You want to try to use less colloquial language. So instead of kids, use children. And don't use a long word if you don't know what the meaning is, because that can end up sounding ridiculous. Language. So language is grammar. As 5-pointers, you are expected to use to have basic level of grammar, meaning present simple, past simple, present progressive. So you are, if we look at the rubric, you are expected for 10 points to understand and be able to use correct use of basic tenses. And if you jump here, the occasional instances of incorrect word order or the occasional incorrect use of speech, pronouns, and prepositions, which means that if you have correct use of basic tenses and you have mostly the correct use of prepositions and pronouns, you should be getting somewhere between 10 points and 12 points on language. However, if you can use some advanced language structures, you get more points. So if you want the full 16, you have to you have to write, not only use correctly present simple, present progressive, past simple, future simple, simple tenses. You also need to have at least 3 to 4 examples of advanced language structure, which are the tenses we review in class, which is why it has been very important to, and will continue to be very important, to come to class. You need to show the use of passive, conditionals, inversions, gerunds, infinitives, relative clauses, reported speech, perfect tenses, temporal clauses. All of these are examples of advanced language structures. So again, you get 10 to 12 points for using advanced, basic language structures, basic language grammar. And then you get additional points for using advanced language structures. Then we jump to mechanics. Mechanics are correct use of spelling, punctuation, capitalization, paragraphing, and of course, sentence structure. So run-on sentences, which we spent a lot of time working on in 12th grade. So basically, spelling is about more or less 3 points. You lose additional points for mistakes in punctuation, capitalization, and run-on sentences, and paragraphing. I expect that you're going to have a space between each paragraph and that you don't start a new line for each sentence within those paragraphs, okay? And that and all of that together will come out to make your essay not only read in a very organized way, but look very organized. So, important things to remember before we get into how to actually write the essay, because now we've talked about how it's going to be marked, but after that we have to talk about how you're going to write it. So, do not write a title because there's no need. It doesn't count towards the required word, the word count. But if you have grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes, those will count against you. Don't write in a list form because those count as mechanical errors. Remember that you need at least 3 advanced language structures. I would work to have 4 just in case. And there will be point deductions if you don't skip a line between paragraphs, and or if you start a line after each completed sentence. So that is, those are the basics. One more thing to add, there is a deduction for length. This essay is supposed to be 120 to 140 words. That means that if you are at 119 words, you already lose 2 points. And markers, but group markers, they count the words. So you need to write over 120 words. Don't stop at 120 because you may have miscounted. Now, on the other hand, you are not going to be penalized for writing over 140 words. With that being said, I don't recommend writing and writing and writing. Keep it to a minimum because the more you write, the more you're likely to have errors and lose points for those errors. Plus, there's only so much each marker is able to mark. You want to write in a concise and organized way. So you should be making an outline of your thoughts, a draft, and writing concisely and not going too much over the word count. So that is the deduction